Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I am a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. At the end of the video, if you could do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. And feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and I do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Today what I wanted to do is review a classic solo Beatle album. This one comes from George Harrison. It is called Extra Texture. Read all about it. It was originally released back in September of 1975. This particular version that I have here is one that I picked up. I think I bought it in 1985. It is on the Capitol, it's a Capitol reissue on the green label. I paid $3.99 for it, and I bought it, I believe, at Peach's Records. I'm going to also show you the original Apple release in 75. They differ a little bit. In this one right here, there's supposed to be a picture of George, and you don't see that here. It's just the solid blue. So let me show you the original here. And as you could see George peeping through there. All right, and then we got the back. This album actually made it on the Billboard album charts here. Got up to number 8 in the States. And it did have a couple singles. Show you inside that photo. So that's what you're getting. And I love his sense of humor. Oh no, not him again. And here's the back side. This is a photo taken from the Dark Horse tour from the prior year. And let's take a look at the vinyl, shall we? Take a look at that apple. Looks like someone ate it. And again, backside it says produced by Oh no, not him again, George Harrison. Alright, so this is an album that was recorded in Los Angeles, California at A&M Studios. It was recorded between April and June of 1975. Originally, George had booked studio time here for a group called Splinter. I guess he wasn't really too favorable about the studio, but what had happened was he was signing artists to his own label, Dark Horse Records. And it was the idea very similar to Apple Records, where you'd sign artists and you would be on them, other artists, and then a larger label would distribute them. So this group Splinter, apparently one of the members fell ill, wasn't able to attend the sessions, and George didn't want to lose the money, so he decided, well, I'm going to record my album there, and that's exactly what he did. So this is an album that many fans and critics alike probably say is one of George's least albums. For a long time I was in that camp. I got to tell you, when I bought the album back in '85, I tried listening to it. There were a couple songs that I was familiar with or had ideas, but the album just wasn't something that I got into. In 2014 it was later re-released on CD in the Apple years, and again, I listened to it. I think I bought it probably a year or so after that, probably 2015. So I put it on, couldn't really get into it as an album. I thought, though, I wanted to do a review on it. Earlier this year, I spent a lot of time listening to it, kind of like it was a new release, and just let me just repeated listenings and see how I feel about it after that. I have grown to definitely appreciate it, and I'll tell you why as the review goes. So let's talk about the songs on this album. There are 10 songs on here. It was produced by George Harrison. There is one of the musicians on here named David Foster. He is a piano player and an arranger. He was in the group Attitudes that George Harrison signed. I believe that his feel is also on this album. I didn't know that they had worked together. David would later arrange and produce other artists and got really big on his own and won many awards. many contemporary artists. So I was surprised they had worked together, but this, I would call this album a very polished California sound. Piano-based album, though clearly you hear George Harrison's signature guitar sound throughout, which is what I like. It also, at the same time, some of the songs have, a couple songs have a Philadelphia kind of soul pop sound, I guess similar like Smokey Robinson, Hall & Oates. So it's kind of a mixture. You've got Serious George on here too, okay? You've got Serious George. Now, the critics had said that there was no religion or spiritual overtones on here. I beg to differ. I've been listening to this quite a bit, though I will say there's not really too much mention of Hare Krishna. There is none that I know of. All right, so the first song is a song called "You," and this was the first single. I got in the top 20. I think it got up to number 15 on the charts here in the States, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it was a top 20 hit for sure. I remember that. I've always loved the song. I had been introduced to this. I picked up Best of George Harrison on cassette as a boy, and I fell in love with this immediately. This is a nice tribute to girl groups from the 60s, like the Ronettes. In fact, the Beatles were big fans of, that sound, especially George. And this was actually written, it was recorded by Ronnie Spector in 1971. She was a member of this group called the Ronettes. If you remember their big hit, Be My Baby, that was a song that John Lennon would later cover on his rock and roll album, and was later finally released on the John Lennon Anthology box set. Well, anyway, she was doing this solo album. Her husband, Phil Spector, who had worked on the Beatles' Let It Be, was producing this. And George was on the sessions. He played on it. And it was a tribute to these girl groups. And, it's a love song. It's a nice song. It's talking about you, and I've always loved this song. So anyway, for whatever reason, Ronnie's solo album was shelved, never saw the light of day. George thought, hey, this is just too good. So he was already on the track, but what he did is he added his vocals on it. He added some more music tracks on it too. It just turned out really good. It is actually one of my favorite George Harrison songs, period. I really love it a lot. All right. Next song on here is called The Answers at the End. The Answers at the End is one of those, in my opinion, spiritual, religious type songs. Very serious George here. Like I said, throughout some of this album you will get that. I like it. It's something that had grown on me considerably. At first I really wasn't a big fan of it. Really appreciate it a lot. And also this is David Foster again, with his string arrangements and the piano and that sound that also help make this album and this song also. You've got some lines in here like, don't be so hard on the ones that you love, it's the ones you love we think so little of. And the answer's at the end. It's not just talking about living everyday life. I really appreciate this song a lot, really enjoy it. All right, the next song is called This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying. This is a song that was the second single. It got up to number 39 on the charts here in the States, so it was a top 40 hit on Billboard. I was excited when I heard this because back in the day when I bought this album, I had heard that this was a sequel to While My Guitar Gently Weeps, which was that wonderful George track from the Beatles' White Album. I wasn't let down. Basically, this was a response to George's critics. What had happened was, in George's solo career after the Beatles, he was just soaring really high. Everything he was doing, like All Things Must Pass and Concert for Bangladesh, Living Material World, the critics and the fans loved him. He was doing very well. Well, 1974 came, and he released his Dark Horse album. He also had a U.S. tour, the first solo Beatle to tour the U.S., and he had some issues with his throat. He had laryngitis, he had just a lot going on, and he had commitments he had to keep. So the album suffered a little bit because of that. The reviews were bad for that and the tour, and he was very upset. In fact, Rolling Stone magazine, a prominent music magazine, had just a really horrible review of him, and he just never forgot that. So this was basically a response to his critics, and he's saying lines in here that I've been out on a limb, though I've been happier than I ever been. This guitar can't keep from crying. He talks about how he's been climbing Rolling Stone walls, which is directly mentioning, you know, that magazine. And he's talking about when, you know, he's fallen, he gets back up and keeps going. So it's a song of determination and moving on and leaving, you know, leaving the critics and everybody behind. Excellent tune, one of my favorite on the album. All right, the next song is called Ooh Baby, You Know That I Love You. This is, clearly, it says on the liner notes, a tribute to Smokey Robinson. George Harrison was a huge Smokey Robinson fan. In fact, the Beatles were also, and they covered that song You Really Got Me from With the Beatles, which is an excellent tune. Made it one of their own, actually. But Smokey had a song called, what was it called? Ooh Baby Baby, which was a big hit. So George decided to do Ooh Baby, You Know That I Love You as a tribute, kind of a response song to it. He was also a fan of Tracks of My Tears by Smokey and just really loved him. So I really like this. You have Klaus Voormann playing bass on this. Klaus was an old buddy from the Beatles' Hamburg days. He worked later on the Beatles' Revolver. He did the artwork, and then the anthology albums, he did the artwork there too. He would play with John Lennon on Plastic Ono Band and George Harrison. Well, anyway, he said, he made a comment about, you know, he was on a couple of the tracks, and this was one of the songs he was on. But he said there was this LA sound, these LA musicians, the Hollywood types that he just was not into. He didn't like that scene. You know, he said you have to hang out with them, you have to go to clubs with them, and there was a lot of drugs and cocaine around. And he said George basically just was not in the right frame of mind, the best frame of mind at the time. So he got out afterward. But anyway, this is one of those Philadelphia soul pop songs. And I think he does a good job. I think it's a nice album track. I really do. The next song on here is called World of Stone. And World of Stone is another one very similar to the answers at the end. I like it though. I think it's great. I like the chorus of voices on there, different people other than George on there. I think I really like the way that they did that. It was almost kind of like a choir of voices, and thought it was really good. Again, you know, kind of religious tones in some respects, but that just basically saying this is a world of stone. You know, there's more to it past this. All right, so that's the first half of the album. I really like it so far, right? I mean, you know, I'm like really good. You know, that this is what this album is, you know, has come to me. I've really grown to appreciate it. So the next song, though, I think is unnecessary. It's called A Bit More of You. It's basically 45 seconds of the song You. Now, Jim Horn played sax on You and A Bit More of You. It's the same song, and he did a great job. And his sax is highlighted on here, and then there's a little instrumental break. I think it was not unnecessary. Again, I don't know why it was put on there. Sense of humor from George, I don't know. But I've read that he kind of wanted, you know, you had the serious song World of Stone, and he kind of wanted to have this as a bridge or a gap to the next song. Maybe there's truth to that, and that's what I read. So then the next song is called Can't Stop Thinking About You. Again, this is that Philly soul sound I was talking about. Very similar song and style to Ooh Baby, You Know That I Love You. Very Smokey Robinson again. This is a song that, you know, a man clearly is in love with a woman. He can't stop thinking about you. And it's a nice tune. It's catchy. I like it. Really works well on the album. All right, after that, you have what I think is a real sleeper called Tired of Midnight Blue. There was a song by Melissa Manchester, in that year called Midnight Blue. And I don't know if George is being funny, but it Tired of Midnight Blue. I wish, though, more of the songs on this were kind of like this. This was totally out on its own. It's happy. It's a nice song. It's a real sleeper. It's one that I was really admire a lot, and it has always stood out. In fact, one of those older, when I listened to the album years ago, this was one of the songs that stuck out for me. It's just too bad not enough people know it or appreciate it, but it's really good. All right, the next song is called Gray Cloudy Lies. This song, by this point, I think the album is starting to drag a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I like the album a lot, but this song is good. It sounds very much like it belongs on Dark Horse, the prior album, including the writing and all that. I like it. It's a nice song. It's good album filler. All right, so the album closes with a song called His Name is Legs, Ladies and Gentlemen. And this is a song that was recorded during the Dark Horse Friar Park sessions in 1974. Very jazz-oriented. You have people like Tom Scott on there, other jazz musicians. This worked with, these different group members. Very good. I like it. Some people, though, from where I read, they just don't like this. It's primarily instrumental, but not entirely. It's a 6-minute song, and George is doing, he's humming through it. He is singing too, and then you've got a guy named Legs Larry Smith, who this song is dedicated to. He was in the group called ex-member of the Bonzo Dog Band, and if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong, but I thought that they were in the film Magical Mystery Tour during the stripper scene. I'm not for sure, but that's what I seem to recall. Anyway, he is doing a speaking part on here in a few parts, and you hear him mentioning Friar Park and stuff. Kind of low in the mix. You can't hear him as much. But I think it's a fun tune. I think it's a nice polished, and it's a nice way to close the album. Now, the 2014 has a bonus track called This Guitar Can't Keep From Crying, the Platinum Weird version. And what this was Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics worked with different artists, and he would re-record their songs with them. Well, he did this one with George circa 91, 92, and I thought it was just a remix of the original. I was really surprised by that. But no, it's a completely new recording. It's stripped down, doesn't have, all of, the strings or anything like that, but it's a faithful rendition of it, and George sounds really good, and I was just really happy with it. So basically, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I would give this an 8. I really like it that much. I'm going to mention a few artists that I haven't yet. Different artists. I'll just kind of skim through this. You've got Nicky Hopkins on piano on one of the songs. You've got Gary Wright playing organ on some of the stuff. You've got Jesse Ed Davis, who would work with John Lennon, playing guitar on here on some of this. Let's see. Paul Stallworth playing bass. He was on, he's one of the members from Attitudes. Jim Keltner. I've got to mention Jim Keltner. Jim Keltner is from the band Attitudes, and he became a lifelong friend of George and would play drums on many future George's releases. So that is my review. This is a sleeper of an album, and I think it deserves much more than what people think of it. So thank you very much for watching, and you have a nice day. Take care. Bye.